Welcome back, everybody. It's the Burning Wheel. So, quick thing. Now that we have resources, there is what we call the resource cycle in the game. So, like, how often we have to roll to maintain the things that we have. This is going to mostly concern the people that have things. If you have B0 resources, you're pretty shit out of luck to begin with.
Yeah.
So to hold on to what you have, you make resource tests and stuff. And I don't know, what do we think? I'm thinking seasonal or yearly. I mean, seasonal implies
It
that,
depends on the basis of your income, right?
well, it's for everybody. It's the same. We roll in the same amount of time, and it's to set the pace of the setting, right? Like if
Yeah, why don't
it's,
we do yearly because we're doing all this like courtly machinations and like
I
expand
like
the
yearly
time
too.
out.
Yeah.
I don't want you to just like go poor because we're like, let's jump ahead a year, roll 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more
Like,
urban the setting, the shorter the lifestyle cycle. I think yearly is fine because we're not tied to agriculture in any serious way. So yeah, that's fine. That fits for me pacing wise because we want the game to be quite like long, and I don't want you to feel punished by skipping ahead a year. Okay, cool. So you all have for your characters, you have traits that came to you by way of your life paths. But what you'll also have are cultural traits, and
Where is this?
I want to read to you about cultural traits. So page 198 on the Burning Wheel of Gold describes cultural traits briefly. Cultural traits essentially are ways to represent their character traits that you'll have that represent sort of givens about the culture your character came from. I'll see if I can find an exact quote to read here, but the idea is that it diffuses the monoculture. Cultural traits are a subset of common traits used to describe bits of culture or racial physiology that characters carry with them, an accent, a particular attitude, or perhaps the color of their skin if it's different from their neighbors. If building a game with multiple managed cultures, the GM in concert with the players can assign each culture a set of 3 traits. The traits should be minor but telling. One culture in my campaign world is superstitious, industrious, and stubborn. Another group is tall, lithe, and deferential to women. Any player who wants his character to be from either of these cultures starts with those traits for free. Small details like this bring even more life to characters built with the life paths of man. So the idea here is that depending on where you are from, you carry cultural traits with you. In the Codex, it suggests on the surface they may seem one-dimensional or possibly offer a bigoted view of culture. They do carry that risk, but they're designed to blend in with your other traits. You carry a piece of your culture with you among all the other traits, and we hope that creates a nuanced view of your character. And again, like all traits, if you don't want it, if you don't think that your character is like that, you have this trait, but you can just ignore it and not play it or play against it, and it might get voted off of your sheet. But the point of having a trait is that it can earn you Artha. So if you're like, cool, my character is culturally believed to be conniving, and if I just play the conniving, like, Westerner, then yes, I'm reinforcing that stereotype, but I'm going to get some Artha for it. So it's up to you to decide how much that builds into your character. So let's talk about the cultures that we've established so far and what they might be like.
Yeah.
So there's a culture we've established as being foreign, right? We have Stygians.
Yeah.
Right. So Stygia as a culture. We've talked about this particular locale, right? Like the people that live in this city. I think these are like civilized folk who probably have a history of interbreeding with the folk of the woods, but are a distinct people from both, right? These are our kind of landed, our landed city folk of this kind of alpine city that we're building. So like alpine folk. Okay. I imagine too that there are the people of the capital, right? Like our core kind of like nobles, like the lineage of the where the patriarchs come from.
well, I don't know how they do it in King's Landing,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So our Midlanders, our capitalists. So the Midlanders. Does anybody envision themselves being from anywhere not of those things? Like, do you want to come up with another?
I
like,
am from the Druidic tradition.
Right, yeah, the people of the woods. Yeah.
I have no idea what I want to like where I would be from because it's just so many
Is
options.
there a slave culture?
Is there a slave culture? Yeah.
Because in one of the seasons we had that where there was
Yeah,
like,
that.
some
So I was
cultural
thinking,
traits for
I was thinking of that.
slaves.
We divided that game into class structure because that game is all like class
Mhm.
struggle stuff. So it was like upper, middle, lower, and slave classes were our cultures. So I think these are more like where you're from and the culture of your people. So this would be from, yeah, like you could be from another part of the kingdom, and anyone can be a slave. Anyone from any culture can have been enslaved.
Chat's like, Stygia, be Stygian.
I mean,
Stygian.
yeah, I envision the Dark Woods as being quite far from Stygia, right? Stygia is like the Nile Delta. It's hot and far away. This is in like an alpine land. So if you are a Stygian, you're very far from home.
You have been sold.
But
up
maybe
You know
the
what?
river
you were born. You were
considerably.
born.
It's just
you were
blood.
born-
It's by blood from a distance.
yeah, you were born a slave, so you had Stygian parents, but you've probably never seen Stygia.
No,
right?
I've never been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Okay.
Elvis Stygian.
So, Blue Jay, is your character from here, from somewhere more civilized, or from like an additional third place? And in that third place, I'm thinking like the home of House Corvidae, right? Does House Corvidae live in like the northern shore of the inland sea? Like, is there another culture that you're from and you've come here, or are you native born to this alpine region?
Is the roost on a coastal cliff somewhere?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about.
I like, because I feel like the way we've discussed it and the way that like I bought Reputation here, this is not where my family like is from.
Okay.
Maybe. I feel like there is a and just in like this time, like I've kind of been fleshing this out, so it might like I might decide like fuck it, no, I don't like that. But like there's a larger house like Corvidae. Maybe it's like like cliffs and wind and ocean and
Okay, so like people of the inland sea or like somewhere, yeah. Okay.
and like maybe I'm trying to win influence to kind of like prove myself in a way. So that's why I'm
Well, this just means, yeah, we're just establishing whether you're part of the dominant culture or from else place. So yeah,
it's always nice to be a little bit exotic.
from your culture is the people of the inland sea, predominantly ruled by House Corvidae.
Yeah.
But you're elsewhere. Okay. Dave, what are you thinking? Do you belong to one of these cultures, or should we throw down another one?
No, I think I'm quite happy being born and raised in the area that we are.
Okay.
So like the Alpine.
Okay. So we're going to need to pick 3 traits to define the Alpine folk, the Stygians, the people of the woods, and the inland sea, and then I'll work out like Midlanders, and then as needed, as we add more cultures, we'll add more in. So when we talk about Stygians, I think this is the easiest one. Let's establish the other. If we want to stick with the Stygians of of both the episode before, we don't want to modify them too much, and of the previous series, as kind of a shout out to them. The Stygians are of a kind of like a grayish complexion. They are from an ancient kingdom somewhere far away. They are like a bit weird and insular. You are obvious. Like if someone looks at you, the color of your skin tells that you're a Stygian. They have this kind of
People
grayish-
would call you like ash skinned or whatever,
Yeah,
right? Because
you have
there's
this-
all this like funerary association.
Yeah,
with
the Stygians are big
Stygians.
on ancestor cults and stuff.
Sure.
So that's a thing. So Ashen, I think, is one of their traits, just as a
Ashen?
physical. Yeah.
Is
Is there like
is it
a
written anywhere, or is it just like
This is a character trait. Yeah.
so you would add it as such? But yeah, do the culture here think of them as like eating the dead or having some other weird connection with the
Was-
dead in that way?
Yeah.
Is there
I
like
was gonna
some
say,
old
like,
wives' tale
like
about
a
it?
stereotype.
Yeah, I was just gonna go like straight up like heretics or something, if that's a trait that we could have.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I think like these are
right?
kind of like cultural and yeah, like
So it's not anyone's like idea of what this is. It's not anyone's stereotype. It's what they
kind of
actually
what it
are.
actually is.
sort of like it's a mix of both. We'll learn that through play. I think like something indicating their like somberness, or, and again, this is how like what's ironic and what's probably a joke, probably something that King really likes is like we think of Stygians as these kind of dour, like necromancers who live in their ziggurats in the desert. And look, I have a Stygian jester. Watch, look at them caper. Look at them dance.
Yeah.
Look at dancing Stygian. Have you ever seen such a thing? Right? Like,
So is it like dour or morose?
yeah.
as
What do you think? Dour, morose? What do you like there, Elf? Somber.
Somber is a good one. I like
Okay.
somber. Somber is a good descriptive
also
word.
is like a dark word, like a.
And this is like the trait that you would be acting against in being a jester.
Yeah.
Well, and you'll be struggling with it, right? Like the idea of you want to make a character that are that's at conflict with itself, right? So like, yeah, there's some part of you that recognizes your Stygian heritage as being there's no jesters in Stygia. They don't know they don't tell jokes in Stygia.
Yeah, there's no humor in Stygia.
Yeah.
I've also never been
You
there.
can- You
Side
can
note.
decide whether you want to play against it or with it, right?
Do I
'Cause,
get
like, if
these traits or do I have to buy them?
Nope, you get them
get
for
them.
free. Yep. So by
especially as
default,
comedians,
yeah, by default
Like,
you
you
are
can-
ashen and somber.
Okay.
We
Is
need
there
a third. Yeah,
one?
we need a third one for Stygians.
Uh,
Something something that maybe we need something that when people think of Stygians, they're like, yes, but right, like, but there's some like something that
but
maybe
they're
people
kind of yeah.
that we kind of something that we kind of like.
Maybe like a loyal.
I feel
or-
like wise or like they know things, right? Stygia, we fear
Maybe
them because of their ancient sorceries, but we have to acknowledge that they have
Maybe
them.
something that goes along with your dreamer trait. Like it can like Stygians are like notably like like open to spiritual interference or like they have some sort of like spirituality about them or like
I think the idea is they have access to the secrets of the dead, which we do not, and maybe we don't want it. Maybe that's like we can look at it as a bad thing to be like, oh, they speak with the dead, but they know things, but we don't want to know those things. Those are dangerous
well, how
things
do
to
you
know.
we need a short term.
Something
Surely there is some
like-
single word that defines forbidden knowledge.
yeah,
right?
totally, like arcane or arcane means like hard to understand. Yeah, I kind of like mystical.
mystic?
Yeah,
Mystic is probably the word.
mystical feels Eldritch is kind of a good one. Let me look up the definition of eldritch because it's such a fun word.
Or apocryphal, isn't that kind of
Yeah,
along those lines?
apocryphal is suitable. as
Eldritch
well.
is weird and sinister or ghostly. I feel like eldritch is pretty much the one we're looking for here, right? It's like
weird and sinister.
weird
huh?
and sinister, yeah. But like they know stuff, yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah,
kinda like
all
that.
right, eldritch.
Ashen, somber, and eldritch, which is so funny that you're a jester.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah. Not only am I Ashen, Somber, and Eldritch, I'm also like totally not in any of those positions except
Right.
for Ashen, I guess, because that's just how it
That's
looks.
just how you look. Yeah.
Well, maybe
Cool.
like
And
maybe
then,
Is it
like,
like is it
jester
like a-
by day, like dour, like morbid.
Well, and that'll be up to
jester by
you.
night.
That'll be up
And
to you.
is
Elf.
it-
And what'll be really interesting is when you run into your first Stygian, right?
Yeah. And is it like gray? You said like gray skin.
Yeah.
And like what about the hair colors? Like, is it like white or black or like?
I feel
what's
like
the
I feel like they
typical-
have a tradition of like most Stygians shave their heads. They're not a big
Okay.
like body hair people.
I haven't done that. People
But
don't
yeah,
like that
I think
here.
if they do, they tend towards the monochrome.
Yeah.
But their eyes run. I think like weird, not like red, but like lavender,
Yellow. Like
lavender,
purple, yeah.
lavender, amber. Yeah.
That's gonna make Jester makeup
Oh wait,
real
wait,
easy.
Elf,
I
I've
have
got
to
something
say.
for you.
Oh yeah,
Let me.
yeah.
see if I
Hook
can
me
find
up,
this picture.
Legit. Hook me up. I'm getting into this like
Okay.
Ashen Jester here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, gallows humor is like a thing they would expect.
Stygians probably have a tradition of like staining their teeth or lips or fingernails as well, like various
Well, because
colors.
the thing is, they have this
Yeah.
closeness to the dead, right? And so they wear
just-
skull makeup.
Just sitting by the foot of the king, looking at people he's mad at, and going.
Right. Yeah, I dig it.
That's
well,
a
and you can be
gray.
funny and be somber. There are lots of comedians whose whole deal is that they're like, oh yeah, today I got on the bus and everything was hard. You know, like you can say funny
Oh, of
things in a
course.
really dour way, and it like
You're
could be part of
what's,
your whole style.
God, what's that joke that Rorschach tells in Watchmen about the clown? But yes, there's a very close tradition of the like the somber and the sad with with clowns. God, what is it?
I love this inadvertently as well. Like I just realized, and we've not talked about it at all as being a thing, but it gives my character so much impetus to be interested in you now.
Yep.
Based on like your cultural traits. You're like,
And I actually have prophetic dreams.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The line is heard joke once. Man goes to doctor, says he's depressed, says life seems harsh and cruel, says he feels all alone in a threatening world where what lies ahead is vague and uncertain. Doctor says treatment is simple. Great clown Pagliacci's in town tonight. Go and see him. That should pick you up. Man bursts into tears, says, but doctor, I am Pagliacci. Everyone laughs. Good joke.
everyone laughs. Good joke.
Yeah, that's really good. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about the Alpine folk. So the folk of the city, the Alpine folk, they derive their tendencies probably from the early people that came here, who interbred with the people of the woods, which we'll figure out in a second. But they retain some of their kind of Midlander style. So I'm thinking kind of like Slavic, probably darker skin and hair than their Midlander relatives, but still recognizable as sort of between the two. But they're their own thing. So Dave, everybody obviously can help, but yeah,
Sure.
what do we think, Dave? What do you think are the traits? What do people think of when they think of these Alpine folk?
I think this was something that was played up quite a lot in choosing this place as to be a conclave. I think they're thought of as very like traditionally not faithful trait, but like spiritual.
Pious is a good one. Yeah,
Pious.
they believe. Like
Yeah.
some people pay lip service, but these guys they believe. Yeah.
Well, and that they do all the ritual things. Like they don't cut any corners with their practice. Like they're very
Right, they're a pious people.
by the letter in terms of the good book. or
Okay, cool. I like
whatever.
that. All right, so they're pious. Let's give them a physical trait. Are they tall?
Yeah, there's totally they're tall, and people say that they're tall because they're planted like trees.
Yeah, tall
and
like
they
the
grow
mighty
upright.
pines. Yeah. Okay, pious, tall. And let's have like an emotional trait. What are they? Because we know that they care about not just the idea of God, but God's will, right? They're orthodox. They're tall. Maybe something about their connection to the people of the woods. Maybe like a trait that makes them a little like threatening, or like are they prone to emotional
Are they
outbursts?
guarded?
Yeah. What do you think?
Are they stoic? Are they?
Yeah, I don't know whether stoic or like violent.
Violent is a good one.
Like,
I like
yeah,
the
Yeah,
idea.
violent is a good one.
Like we're like,
And
yes,
very-
they love God. They take that shit seriously. This is a kind of place where, and this ties us into our kind of Hungarian, like Transylvanian thing. Like it would not be unusual to find the bodies of heretics impaled on spikes outside these cities, even in a modern time. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And it started with like being the people who came and took over all like the pagan lands and stuff, and it's just stuck around. And
Well,
like,
they cut a bloody path
Yeah.
through to like forge the city.
Right. So what we're describing here is not only Dave's character and the other people, but we're describing cultural traits of your the guy you're sleeping with, Blue Jay.
Okay, sorry. So now I want to pay attention.
Yeah, he's known to be, he's the king of these people. So in a lot of ways, he's there like, so he's pious, tall, and violent. He has a streak. He has a violent streak to him.
Okay.
Is this true of the brother of her
Oh my
dead
God.
Oh
husband
yeah,
as
he's
well?
one of them too. Yeah.
So
Oh
he's-
yeah, that would make sense for why I'm here because
As
I
a-
married into this area.
Yeah. Yep. So
As
he's
a-
also of the Alpine folk, the brother, the brother of your dad. So
Maybe
if he ever
that's one of
finds
the
out
reasons why I wanted him dead so much, because he was violent.
you're
As
surrounded
the
by
person
violent
who's
people.
going to be making fun of nobles of this pious, violent culture, I'm
I mean,
definitely good. Yeah.
The thing is, your character
yeah.
has been, you've been beaten like lots before.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
I'm
regular
numb.
thing.
I'm numb from the harem slave thing.
And
Like,
and not even that, but like it's a given. Like being violent with people who have wronged you is part of their culture. There's
Yeah.
lots of stories about like eye for an eye kind of, and I think that stuff, some of it, like all the stories, and we talked about this about the Alpine folk being this kind of transcultural people. I think a lot of their folklore and a lot of their stories are reattributions, right? They put saints in the place of gods. They're like, there's a story about, a kid losing an eye because he tried to trick, one of God, like an angel. But really, it's an old story about sacrificing your eye for wisdom or whatever. Like
Yeah.
about offering something to the ravens.
yeah. So
Well,
let's.
because now would it wouldn't make sense if Dave is going to be of the Alpine people for him to be related to the Corvids. He would be related to my husband's family more likely.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's a part of House Corvidae that came with them, right? Like we had this other house, the House of the Pines. They established this place, but with help. Like House Corvidae has been around. They've been around here for a time.
Oh, right.
Right.
So this is like
They're
an
the
option.
raven. They're the raven in the branches, right? Like how the family
Okay.
Corvus is
Oh
probably.
yeah, there's tons of us. It's fine.
Yeah, the
That's-
family Corvus is between the two houses, right? Like there are a lot of ravens here, and that house is probably like quite that family is popular and carries the banner of House Corvidae. You're not a raven, you're a magpie. Or
She's a
blue jay, whatever.
magpie,
Yeah.
clearly. Well,
Right from
Wait,
the
what's-
from the homeland. Okay, I like that. All right, so let's talk about the people of the woods.
well, so the predominant society is patriarchal, right?
Yes, yeah.
So
The
of course the people of the woods have to be feminists.
yep. Let's think of a way that the people of this culture would describe that. Like
Matriarchal.
matriarchal, yeah, like respectful to women. Like
I mean,
that's
this
a
is why I
trait,
just
right?
came forward with feminist.
Well, Luke specifically calls it out, right? One of those cultures in the book he describes as being deferential to women. So you could say, like, yeah, respectful to women. Like that's just a trait. They treat their women with
Respectful
respect.
of women.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one. I
Well,
also
and that's
really
going to
like.
be a great way for you to get Artha when some woman's giving you shit and you're like, I treat her with respect.
Yeah, she's a peer, one of my contemporary peers. I mean, I already have the spooky trait, so it doesn't make sense to give them this trait.
Well, and you're
But, like-
spooky means you're particularly spooky, and they're
Yes.
not. Ignorant, creepy. You could be spooky and creepy. Like what about them? What do we think when we think of these people? I like the idea of them being
I mean, wild.
wild or uncivilized or
Are you sorry.
Mhm.
Are you a typical one of these people in terms of like you have Fey blood, right? Like are they
I'm like extra plus
Okay,
wild
all right,
person.
all right.
Like
I just
I'm,
wanna-
I'm
I wanna
so
make sure-
deep in it.
I wanted to make sure.
and we're making up traits, right? So like a little weird. Right?
Yeah.
They're all a little like how do you envision them? Like I have this idea of you probably like most people, even the Alpine folk, like pragmatically will deal with them because there's probably this whole subset of like I
Well,
said,
like,
the King's
they're great
Rangers,
hunters.
yeah,
And they go out in the woods. They're guides. All that kind of.
they
shit,
have a
right?
close
This-
relationship with them. There is a bit of a parallel here between like say the Algonquin people and like the
First
French
Nations people.
settlers, yeah. So
So we might have like the trait animistic or whatever. Like people associate us with spiritualism of that type.
primitive.
That word is really gross and loaded, and we're all
Right, and that's why.
colonizers here. So
Well, and that's why I think there's this risk of like how much
I don't
want to
to
go
be
down that
shitty
road.
about it. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm actually looking at a bunch of the wolf traits from the
cool.
codex because I think some of those might be fun. So I'm going to read through some of
Well,
these.
I mean, we could say wolf-like, right? Like we can just come up with a word that describes that they're all kind of like seen as like, you look at them and you're like, you know, you like sometimes you look at a person and you're like, oh, they're like this animal. Yeah, I think that could be very much a thing.
Yeah, lupine.
Okay,
Yeah, like
let's do it.
pointed features, like
And it implies a certain predatoriness, a pack.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like wolves. Yeah, lupine is a good one.
Yeah, and
If there's one, there's probably 5.
everyone probably like in their mind's eye like notices your canines more when you're
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
these
yeah, I
people.
love that.
Even though they're like
So
they're
do we
really
wanna-
pretty much the same, but everyone would like draw a picture of you and you'd have these big like canines.
So we can work this out as we go. We can come up with these details, but I like the idea of there formerly being a House of the Wolf and maybe now no more.
it has
Now
been
no more.
cursed into oblivion.
Right.
by
So the house.
us.
Okay. So let's say that. Then I'm gonna make a
There's
note.
a ruined castle out there somewhere in the dark woods that is the former House of the Wolf 300 years ago.
Right. Totally.
Or
So-
even like
Nobody has
because
gone there
'cause
for
we
a
talked
very
also about-
long time.
some of the people interbred and like sold themselves out.
yeah, I like the idea that when
We call them dogs because
when-
they're not fit to be wolves now, and we just curse the shit out of all of those people.
That's so good. Yeah. So when family Corvus and the House of the Pines came and like founded this city. There probably used to be 3, right? There was a third that was founded from the initial interaction where they're like, send us your chieftains, right? And one of them stepped forward to be like, you know, this is the Vercingetorix or the
Yeah, totally.
you know, the Gallic king who was like, yes, put your fucking crown on me. I will convert to your religion. Come, my warriors. And they built him a castle in the woods, and it's the castle of the wolf. And the rest of the people were like, fucking
No.
evil eye that dude. And
Hell to the nana.
yeah, I like it. Okay, but they still retain that lupine like nature.
Are we reclusive?
Yeah, I definitely think that even if you interact with them, they will return to the woods. They will go back to that place.
Okay.
yeah.
I will add that as the third trait then here.
So reclusive, lupine, and respectful.
and respectful of women.
I like it. All right. So the last culture that we need to work out for the PCs anyway is the people of the inland sea, the people of
The Corvidae.
yeah,
Oh,
fundamentally.
Sorry, one last bit
the
of
people of
lore
Corvidae. Yeah.
here. Obviously, we cursed all of them. They're all fucking werewolves in the woods
That's
now.
the-
All those,
that's
the
definitely-
whole line
That's
is
the
like,
myth. Yeah.
Yeah.
or there are like some weird ass shit
I
going on
am
with
super
that.
into that.
Yeah.
That's
There is a
right.
castle Wolfenstein. Less Nazis. Yeah, there is definitely like a cursed castle somewhere in the woods. And everybody has their own stories about it. And and it represents this fallen house, the House of the Wolf. Yeah, cool.
Yes, tell us of the roost folk, Blue Jay.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So I envision this place, the inland sea, to be like quite large. And when you think about the culture of your people, where you come from, what analog are you thinking of in real life? Are we thinking like south of France? Are we thinking Spain? Are we feeling like Mediterranean? What do you envision?
That far south.
I mean, that's up to you, right? Like, are we thinking like Olive Gardens and
my
and
thought
rocky
is, like-
terrain, or are we thinking?
My thought is that this is a family that is competitive and like ambitious.
Well,
Right?
and
So
they're
I
birds,
feel
right?
like-
So they're far travelers too. So.
Yeah, so I feel like placing them in like an analog of like luxury and hot lazy days doesn't really fit with what I'm thinking.
Are you thinking more like a cold English coast? sort
yeah,
of
I'm thinking
thing?
more-
I don't
I'm
imagine them.
thinking
I don't
more
imagine them
like,
being that quite that dour. I don't see grays. I think like blue skies.
Yeah,
Are these the Dutch?
that's a pretty good analog. Yeah,
yeah.
they probably
They're
own
like-
they probably own lots of ships to
that
travel
makes-
afar, right? Like
Right, and are like
Oh, like East India
commercial
company
and
sort of thing.
like very confident, right? Like these
I-
are some
I
and
like-
like
I-
colonizers in this way.
I feel
these
like giving
things I associate.
I feel like giving my family too much into the new merchant class might not be where I personally see us going.
Sure.
Okay.
So what's your take?
My take was a little colder, like more Scandinavian. But I don't know, like
okay, well, I'm gonna add another. If you're not gonna use the Dutch thing, I'm gonna totally put that down. as another culture.
If you're going Scandinavian, that's totally a good call for blue skies as well. You just got a bit of snow,
fjords,
you know,
yeah,
like,
Fjords. Because my thought was like in terms of like the independence, the
I mean, that's a trait right there, right? Like
Yeah.
independent. Okay.
Absolutely. Like whatever you get like well, I guess that's kind of like that might lend itself to mercantile. Like whatever you get because you worked for it.
Well, so I guess that's the thing, right? Like we could separate that out. I like the idea of there being a culture, a noble house or a location, a culture that the other noble houses looked at them and be like, we wouldn't have this middle class problem if you hadn't like let this happen.
And they like bring people into the family, like they're very
they wed anybody and like, oh, you've got a bunch of money, and they're balling out of control rich because of that, where they're like, oh, you want a noble title? Cool. That'll be 10,000 ducats. Like,
but they're viewed as unprincipled, right? Whereas Blue Jay's house is still more into the way of things.
And at least in this area, we've kind of fallen behind because of that, right?
Yeah.
So we're thinking like, what are the 3 things that define your
I like
people?
independent.
Yeah,
I'm already personally ambitious.
What about cutthroat?
See that implies like I feel like the people would be. I imagine this house to be too big for them
True.
all to be cutthroat. Worldly.
Well, we're talking about reputation, right? Like the way that
Worldly or well
that they are. Yeah.
I think worldly is a good one, or cosmopolitan.
Cosmopolitan is a good one.
You like that one? Okay.
Cosmopolitan implies like an interest in other cultures and stuff as well, beyond just like having been there.
Do you like cosmopolitan or worldly? Worldly means you know things about other cultures. Cosmopolitan means that you interact with them.
I mean, there's definitely an interaction with other cultures. I don't know if it's like friendly, but that doesn't imply like no.
Lots of cosmopolitan places still like are not nice.
Are shitty and appropriative or whatever else, right?
Yeah, cosmopolitan is good.
It's nicely with like the bird narrative, right? Because they've like sent out this branch of the family.
I do love the idea that you can find a Corvidae anywhere, right? That,
I like that
you could go to Stygia, you could go to the Stygian capital, and there's a young Corvidae on a trip there. Yeah.
Even if it's just a finch, you know,
Right.
like or
There's
whatever.
I do like the idea of the Corvidae being like very like
let's come up with a physical trait, because we have ashen, we have tall, we have lupine. What are your people like? What are they
like?
Fragile? Are they pale? Are they how do you, when people see them?
I like the idea of raven haired. Like all of us just have like dark black hair. Like that's like a symbol of like, it's not even dark brown, it's like fucking black.
Yeah.
And that's a symbol of like a well-bred,
black.
like a purebred Corvidae will have that black hair.
Sure.
Is there also like a certain aesthetic within the family too, that they tend to like play up the hair, right? Because it's a symbol. So you have like a fancy hairdo, or
if there's a Corvidae who's like tan, we're all like, of course you didn't protect your skin.
Well, I love the idea of there's this kind of like tradition among them to like leave the roost and to go out into the world and experience things and like come back, right? There's like a Rumspringa like kind of angle to the Corvidae, right? Like go out into the world and then come back to us. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, take useful things from elsewhere
and we wear a lot of like
nest.
In terms of like finery, it's all like jewel tones, you know, like really like deep color if we wear any color.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah,
just like an accent of red somewhere, or like emerald, or
I get the sense of the hair being so important that you like buck old fashioned trends, which are like, no, we don't wear hats because
never.
Check this out.
Cool.
It's just not
I mean,
and like
look at
never
that
cut
blue.
your hair.
To conceal the symbol of your house.
Yeah, I like
That
that.
blue-black color, it's only Corvidae.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, I like the idea of like if my hair was cut like Cersei's was, like that was like an ultimate insult, like real bad shit.
I like it. Cool. Okay. So we've got our cultural traits. These are traits just like any others. You'll be able to get points for them. You get Artha for them. So let's talk about beliefs and instincts. So the reward structure in this game, the way that you get rewarded by Burning Wheel, is in the form of persona, fate, and deeds points. They will come to you by playing to or complicating your character's lives by way of your beliefs, your instincts, and your traits. So beliefs are statements. I find them now. You can do them a bunch of different ways, and you will develop your own personal style for them. But generally, you can write them in a bunch of different ways. So you'll earn a fate point for playing your belief, for just showing your character expressing their belief in the game. You'll earn persona points for resolving or changing your belief in some way. You'll earn a deeds point at the end of like a major arc for your character, either when your character completely changes the way that they are in a dramatic way, or accomplishes some like huge goal for their own belief. It's the big intense moment. Fate you'll get regularly. It doesn't do as much for you. Persona you'll get probably episodically, depending on how you write your beliefs. Deeds you'll get maybe once an adventure. They're very rare. These points, fate, persona, and deeds, will allow you to do things like add extra dice to your rolls, re-roll things, open end your sixes so you can re-roll them, all of that stuff. They'll make you more likely to succeed at things. So the way it goes is you'll make tests in service to your beliefs and your instincts and whatever, and then you will use those points to further make tests, so on and so forth. And you'll note what you're spending your persona, fate, and deeds points on, and that will allow you to eventually undergo Aristeia, right, which is a state of changing, of shade shifting, and of ascension for your character. It's a big deal. It doesn't happen very often, but you get it from role playing your character. So when you write your beliefs, you can write them kind of in a few ways. I like to write beliefs that say, here is a statement about the world, here is a thing that I believe, and here's what I'm going to do about it. You can keep the beginning part of the belief ongoing, and the second part, as you resolve it, you can write a new belief to continue to get you persona points. So the other thing the beliefs are useful for is to look at if you're like, I don't know what to do now. Like the GM has looked to me and said, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Look at your beliefs. All of your beliefs should immediately spur you to your next action. So you could say, I will, you say a thing that you believe in. So you could say like, I belong on the throne of this kingdom. And then your next bit can be the thing that you're going to do about that, right? So it's like, I belong on the throne of this kingdom. I will convince the king to appoint my nephew as his advisor, right? So that gives you an action to like go after. You can also write a belief that stands in as a fate generating factory, something that is so core to your character that you will basically get points for it every session. These tend to be more philosophical stances. They're things like, there is only one God and his name is God, right? That's a belief. And every time you show your character being mean to pagans and whatever, that'll get you fate. However, those tend to be harder to resolve because they tend to angle into, like, to change that kind of belief, it's like a deeds point level thing. It's very big. Now, you can change your beliefs at the beginning of every session if you want to, adjusting them, nudging them around. But getting points for them means resolving them with tests. So that's beliefs. I would suggest at character creation, writing a belief about your life before now, right? Write about a thing that came before. Write a belief about your future, so a thing that you want for your character in the future. And then write a belief about another character. Like literally just call on them in your beliefs. That'll tie you to them immediately, and you'll both be able to act on that stuff. That's what I usually do when I get started. You can lean away from that if you want to. But that's beliefs. So let's talk about ideas, thoughts, feelings for beliefs that we have.
So what about something like, if we're talking about a general like consensus idea of something that like came before in your life, belief wise, maybe for me that would be something like no kindness is freely given.
How do you resolve that though?
Well, so that'd be the example of one that you could get lots of fate points from, but
there's no real way to resolve it.
Yeah, there's no way to kind of like move it forward. Now you could say, and yeah, feel free to write beliefs about the fact that God is dead. Even though we'll see that on screen, imagine you're writing your belief for a character who already knows that.
One of the ones that I did sort of test out in this. I mean, I'm going to rewrite stuff because I think not all of them work here, but I have one written in right now that is, God is dead and we do well to dance on his corpse.
Right. So again, like it seems like you're leaning into ones that'll get you fate. But they're hard to, like, if you look at those beliefs, could you say, I'm going to do something with these right now?
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah, so you can feel free to be more specific. So like no kindness is freely given. Then you could say something about what you're going to do to pay off a debt, or to give away kindness in exchange for, like what are you going to do about that? No kindness is freely given. Who has given you kindness that you need to repay? Right? What debts are you under?
Or who are you trying to get into your pocket by doing a favor for them?
Okay, so it would be more like try and get this person in my good graces or what have you.
Yeah, and don't write it as a thing you will try. Write it as a thing you will do. Say like,
get
I
this
will do
person.
this thing. Yeah. Like this would be the example of like God is dead and the rules are all broken. And then you can write an example of like what you're about to do, right? So like now that you don't have to play by the rules, here's something that you can do. So you can write these about, and again, this is what I was thinking, like write them about your past, your future,
So
and
like
another character.
I have the one that I think is good right now that I have is I'll carve a place for myself here, one not predicated on my servitude, one way or another.
Yeah. Right. So you can boil that down and then give yourself your next step, the thing you could resolve in a session, right?
Okay.
So like you can write about how you're going to free yourself from your servitude. Like I'll carve a place for myself here by doing what, right? What's your next step?
Okay.
And it might be hard to know until we figure out until we start the session and figure out where we are.
Well, no. See, that's the thing is
No.
there's a chicken and egg. I will come
Yeah.
up with the way the game starts based on your beliefs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So assume your character knows that God is dead. We've just found this out. Your character's like, whoop, I have an idea. I know what I'm going to do about this. Yeah, Scratch and Sniff had a good one that I think, Elf, you're gonna steal, right?
1000% I
Do
am
it.
stealing.
Totally
God
do
is
it.
dead, and I will convince the king to denounce the clergy.
There you go, right? So the king represents a power structure for you. If you can convince him, you personally think that if God is dead, the clergy will lose their power. You don't want the king to attach himself to a dying. You don't want him to get dragged down by that albatross. Time to convince him. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
I mean, mine is very obviously like I need to convince the king or somebody that, the queen is bullshit. Get her out of the way. It's my turn. Like,
Okay. So what do you? Okay. What is your? What is your?
Figure out something more specific.
Well, what does your character want? Do you want the queen to be dead?
I want to be the queen.
Okay. So
The queen is the queen now is either dead or like their marriage annulled.
sure. So what's the
because
first? What's the first step? What's the first step to that? What will be the thing for you to? What will you do right now today to start your plan to get rid of the queen?
I want to convince the king that the queen is not capable or not like appropriate or like shouldn't be queen anymore. Start with the king and then move forward.
Okay, so you want to just convince him to dump her.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a plan to outright like murder her yet. If that fails,
I mean,
maybe
like
change
that,
it.
yeah, there's steps to be taken, and that's the first one. The king has to be on my side.
Okay.
And then maybe next convince the king that I should be queen.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna assume for the sake of like drama and interest, it's not that he's not with you because he's already convinced that she's boring and awful. He actually like legitimately loves her and is conflicted.
Sure, yeah, maybe. I don't think that he's with me because he hates his wife. He's just like a jackass that sleeps
Well, yeah,
around.
you seduced
Well,
him.
and you've been seducing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah.
Okay. So now like something about like the queen has to go. I'll convince the king to agree with me, or I'll convince the king of this.
Okay.
Okay.
And like for clarity, like your character is not in love with the king, right? You're
No.
just in love with the throne. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not in love with the king yet. That might happen, but
Maybe.
Maybe the king's the best.
Okay,
Maybe,
so- Yeah, so
Maybe he's violent and abusive.
So
Who knows?
you'll get fate for working towards it. You'll get persona if you successfully convince the king. He's like, maybe she shouldn't be the queen. Okay, cool. All right. Anyone else have beliefs they want to workshop?
Yeah, I want to have something about setting up Bluge as the fucking boss because
Yeah.
matriarchy is the shit, and I think my character likes Blue Jay's character.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So let's talk about that. So you're gonna write a belief about Blue Jay's character.
Yeah, what's your character's name, Blue Jay?
Alessandra.
Elisandra. Okay, cool. I think she deserves the throne.
Okay. So have we just like flat out established that you've been helping her make sure there's no legitimate heir?
Yeah, maybe. I think that's
Have
fine.
you been giving me the thing to give to my cousin to give to the queen so that she doesn't have kids?
Yeah, just like pour this in her morning tea or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're
yeah,
already kind of poisoning the queen.
just a little bit.
Okay. All right.
It's not poison. It won't hurt her.
I mean, giving someone a chemical that is preventing their body from
Fine.
functioning in the way that it normally works you're poisoning them.
I've already had someone killed before. It's fine.
Okay, so how do you want to phrase that? So she belongs. How do you want to phrase this? Do you want it to be she belongs on the throne or she belongs in power? Right, because one implies the structure should stay, but the people in it should change. The other implies like we're gonna burn down this patriarchy and we're gonna install a new system of power, and she's gonna be on top.
I mean, yeah, we got to destroy the patriarchy, obviously.
Okay.
But, like, this is why it was specifically in my note to myself. It was that she needs to be the boss. Like,
Okay,
she needs to be
so
a-
maybe that's where we have conflict in so much as I don't look that far ahead into like destroying the patriarchy.
I'm like,
I want to be
no,
in
we just-
power.
we just get rid of all this shit.
One
and then
of
put
you
on
is
top
one of you
it.
is a liberal Democrat and the other is a communist. You're like, yeah, but what if we use capitalism? And then the other's like, yeah, but how about we burn it down forever?
Yeah. How about we turn this castle into a ruin like that other one in the woods?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think it will be that Alessandra is worthy of power, but we must destroy the structures that keep her from it.
That is a big goal. Where will you begin?
I mean, where will I begin? Come back to me, because
Okay. All right, Dave, you want to talk about yours? I know you have plans. Let's try to formulate them a little.
Yeah. I think the first thing I want to do, I'm not sure how the belief goes with this, but I need to secure myself a position in the court that isn't contingent on my useless uncle or something like that.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing. You could use. I know that your character is a pious man who believes in God, but like this is going to be a time of trouble. So you could write a belief about using the current instability to ingratiate yourself to the king, right? To be like, the king will need an advisor in these turbulent times.
So Elf is trying to destroy the clergy, and Dave is trying to get the king to trust the clergy.
Andrew's trying to destroy the clergy. I don't know what Elf's character's position on the clergy is yet.
Dave is trying to get the
my
king to
position on the
trust Dave, which is different from necessarily, like, the clergy could cease to exist, but it's like, but you need me as your spiritual advisor.
I'm thinking
outside
here.
of the
I'm thinking here, Dave. Do you envision your character as being in a sort of Rasputin position with the king and his court?
Yes.
Okay.
For now. Step one.
Nice.
Is this
Okay.
kingdom-
All right. So yeah, you it's your belief, right? Like, why are you doing this thing? And then and then what are you going to do? What are you going to start with? So it's like, yeah, you convince the king, because you have this reputation as being a saint, and as soon as people are like, God's dead, having someone to whisper in his ear to be like, it's fine, everything will be fine, my lord, right? Like, ingratiating yourself to the king.
Yeah. I wonder if it's enough to talk about like the troubled times as my owners for this, or whether the belief should address my like natural ambitions.
I mean, you could
Maybe
write
the two separate.
you could do two separate beliefs because you've got four, right? Everyone has three, and you have your extra like I serve God belief.
I do. Yep.
I like the idea of having two separate ones. One for like I'm doing this because God and King are inseparable, and the King needs me because you still ostensibly you respect that God put this King in charge, and without you, and I think it's okay to imply that the King has there's like a power vacuum there that you could see filling. Yeah, this is going to get nice and complicated. I like it because the King is going to be like, but I need a son, right? Like,
And I could be like, but you already have one.
yeah, but see, he's illegitimate.
That would be a manipulation role.
The thing that's gonna pit the characters against one another here is that you are an illegitimate witch here, right? The King is legitimately married to the Queen under the eyes of God, and you are a bad sinner lady.
But
right?
God
Hey,
is
Adam.
dead.
But God is dead.
What are you trying to say about witches? Can you please not use that as a slur?
You know, the prevailing culture would. So I personally love them.
But I'm actually a witch. It's
In
just
world.
confusing.
I know. I know. In world, it would definitely be like meddlesome witches. But yeah,
Mm.
I mean, it did God really want the Queen with the King if he can't even give them heirs? Like,
yes,
honestly,
he did. They're married. It's the will of God.
No.
Okay, I figured out my belief.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first step in destroying the structures of power that keep Elisandra from it is making her acknowledge that that is the right way to do things. Because she's
Right.
got her head. She needs to get her head straight on this one.
Right. Yes.
Right? Like,
Help
don't
her
try to-
understand. Okay.
I mean, fuck your way to power, sure, but like, not to then be someone's pet, birthing pod.
Mhm.
So
Oh yeah. Okay. Because I'm definitely still of the opinion that like this is how you do things. Like
Yeah, no.
the King and the Queen provides heirs, and heirs are what secures you power because you have.
I love how Chad is saying things like, "I feel really sorry for this NPC king." Yeah, being in charge is so hard.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I dig it. So let's talk, Dave. Let's talk about you. You want to bolster and support the King because his current structure of power. He needs to be there for the people. He needs to know, like, you need to reinforce him, but also it could help you. And you could write another belief about, I mean, you're not blind. You can see Alisandra's machinations, even if you don't know about their affair.
Right.
You know that she's an important person at court. So you could write a belief about her.
I'm thinking, like one of them is like these are times of trouble and strife. The King will need a guiding hand to support his wavering faith.
Perfect.
Which is like, say how I'm going to do it. Like,
and we'll know it's resolved when the King has appointed you his spiritual advisor, right? Where the King is like, yes, this man, yeah, okay, I like it. His personal monk and saint.
And then there'll be one like about there are those in the court who do not live in the grace of God. I mean, there's like conversion stuff, right? I'm a hypnotist and I'm like a persuasive person. Like they're not lost yet. Just because they're interested in their own power doesn't mean that they're irredeemable. But yeah, I figure. I think this might be focused on Elf's character. Because as we've said, she's a person
the dreamer, right?
Interest. She has prophetic dreams. She's Stygian. There's some stuff going on that I need to.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So blah blah blah. Whatever your character's name ends up being, does not yet walk in the light of the Lord.
I think at least. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Yeah. No, it's just going to be like I will show her the light or whatever.
Yeah. You'll
show me the light of God.
Yeah, you'll convert. Good. Yeah, you'll convert her to the worship of this dead god, which is great because this is a way that if Elf, you decide it's interesting for your character to become faithful, you can get that trait, right? Like traits get built in by play. So, oh yeah, I'm about that. I love that idea of like, yeah, this character could be an asset to me, but first I need to convert this wayward Stygian to the light of God.
Yeah.
And I think the name for the jester is going to be Joy.
Yeah.
Because it's so anti-Stygian. It's great.
Nice.
Love it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody's trying to convert or convince everyone else. It's an
At
intrigue
least-
campaign.
At least just her name. She'll have some other name that's like her actual name.
So okay, let's talk about other beliefs. Anybody else have one like a second? I think Dave, you've got 2 now, right? You've got 2 of your 4 worked out. Okay.
I've got the one that's like convince the king to denounce the clergy.
Yep.
And
Which actually kind of
then-
works in concert with Dave's goal, because he can denounce the clergy but take on this monk as his personal like religious
exactly.
advisor at the same
That's what I
time.
was thinking earlier. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
paradigm.
I also have the I'll carve a place for myself here, one not predicated on my servitude, and then I added by reconnecting with my old accomplice, which is Blue Jay. So you know,
I love that you think of her as your accomplice.
Yeah.
You don't think the
Well,
same.
you have shared guilt, right? You both
Yeah.
know the truth of
we both know
I'm
shit.
not guilty.
And what I'd like to do is make my last one about Andrew's character somehow, but I
Nice.
can't figure out how to
Wait.
do that.
So we only have 3?
Yeah,
you got
that is 3.
So
Okay.
Elf,
Yeah.
I have a reputation at court as being a reliable oracle.
Hmm.
I can bind spirits and cast freaking magic. What might your character need me to do that for? Perfect ways to get
Something
away
to
with it.
interpret these dreams I'm having.
Yeah,
Um,
cool. I can definitely interpret your dreams. I have all the
Yeah.
necessary skills, as I'm sure does Dave's character.
Does your character have a name yet? Because then I can write in
My
like
character's name is Agatha.
I
of the
need a
Darkwood.
blank to interpret my dreams.
Agatha
Okay,
of the
Agatha of
Darkwood.
the Darkwood. Okay.
Cool. Then I need some more.
Well, I have one already written out, so I'll just read it. Keep
Okay.
going. Rumor at court is that the jester has prophetic dreams. What power lies behind it? I will press her to confirm this rumor. So basically, I want to know what's going on, like why.
That's gonna be easy to resolve. I need your help. You need my help. We'll figure
Well,
it
it's
out.
the thing is, it's going to be about, and that's fine. Like resolving a belief may take several sessions. It may take just a single scene, but it's about making it work for you, right? Go into these aggressive. Don't just be like, cool, yes, we both agree. Friends. Generally, if you don't have to roll anything to resolve a belief, you don't get credit for it.
Yeah.
Right? Tests are required to make this happen.
Yeah, of course.
And that my belief is about, it's not just about you being like, yeah, I totally have prophetic dreams, and being like, great. It's why does your character have
Yeah,
prophetic dreams?
figuring
How does
out
that
why
work?
that is. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to guinea pig you a little bit and be like, yeah, sit on this examining table. I
You're
will
all, yeah. I mean, even though
assassinate.
Agatha is like an outsider, you're all part of the sort of wider like court of the king, right? Like,
Yeah, so
I would actually really like to connect, and you don't have a relationship because you didn't buy one, but like the queen or someone close to the current queen is the reason Agatha is in the court. I don't want to just center everything around the king. Like I think you were brought here by someone who is connected to that.
we were talking about having maybe it be that Alessandro brought me in. But yeah, my last life path is court sorcerer, so I'm here kind of generally. So surely the king or others would be involved.
Yeah, you're a
It
member.
would
of
be
the,
funny.
Maybe I met you here.
Yeah.
It would be funny if the queen liked me. That would be
yes, I think
humorous. And actually, Agatha's probably like down with the queen, and I'm like, cool, yeah, queen's great. She shouldn't be in power though. Like this other person is more capable.
I like the idea that
She's just
she's like
in a bad
actually
spot.
a nice person.
Oh yeah, totally.
The
She's
queen is
not.
probably
I
rad.
don't like the. I mean, no one is. No one like if we're
Well,
playing an intrigue
yeah.
campaign, I don't think anyone except maybe a dupe or someone who's pretending really well can be like a genuinely like decent person because they're going to die very quickly if that's the case. But yes, I think she is beloved of her people. She is like
She's
distraught.
like effective. right?
Maybe she is like Marjorie. Like she goes and does like stuff for the poor and like is, you know, sweet and nice.
She's
and,
she's not a hated queen. Well, she wouldn't be, right? Like she wouldn't be sweet and nice necessarily. She'd be pious, tall, and violent. But
Okay.
She's this like
respected.
imperious and strong lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like.
Yeah, I'm totally down with the queen then. Queen's fucking cool.
She's just not the right person.
Exactly, right? Like certain people are suited to be in charge.
Well,
She
and
could
that's
do
when tension will
another
come up,
thing.
right? Because
Yeah.
Blue Jay eventually will just be like, kill him. Fucking just get rid of her. Get her out of here.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, yeah, maybe we need to find another. She has a place here. And
Yeah,
that's part of
exactly,
your,
right? We can
that's part of your,
form
yeah.
a coven of the three of us and be in charge that way.
Yeah.
Let's just
Okay.
do that.
Husband. You're
Cool.
gonna have to do some convincing.
All right.
That's my first belief. Is all about that blue chain.
So
Yeah.
who else has a belief, like a partly formed belief? Is anybody like done? You have all three? Yeah.
I have a
okay,
third
I'll
one
figure.
started, but
Okay.
You were talking about having one that was linked to the past, and with the character trait of violent, for the people of this region, my late husband and his brother.
Let's write one about your brother and
I was trying to think of one about like either the way I'm going to resolve my relationship with my dead husband's brother, or like the reason why I was so quick to kill my husband. Maybe he was abusive, and I was like, no man will ever touch me in anger again, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if they do, then blah 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 blah.
I mean, some of these lead into instincts, right? Like that could very much be an instinct.
that's
That,
an
like,
instinct. Yeah, that does sound
that
like an instinct.
instinctive reaction to a man being violent is definitely like more instinct. But
Okay.
definitely write a belief about your either your dead husband or your husband's brother, because you're sleeping with him, right? Like to keep him at bay.
Mhm.
Write a belief about that, because I really want to know why. Like how the fuck is that working, and what's your
okay.
plan with that? So think about what your character, because eventually if she's going to come forward, he's going to be a problem, because you're going to have to tell him like, okay, I'm marrying the king now, and he's going to be like, what?
Yeah, okay. There's got to be like a maybe in all of this machination, Alessandra feels like she had reason to kill her husband, other than just I'm murdering this person in cold blood, and doesn't want to just like get rid of anyone who stands in her way via like murder. So she's like trying to use other things to like, so she doesn't want to just like off her husband's brother because he knows that she offed her husband, right? She's trying to use other, yeah.
if I may,
Go ahead, please.
would it be interesting that your killing of your husband was kind of a crime of passion that you are now trying to turn into a like machination or a scheme, right? That like there was some like dude needed to get killed for actual reasons.
For
Now you're
actual real reasons.
But also I'm an ambitious noblewoman, so how can I work this angle now that I'm here? But that like killing him wasn't planned exactly.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
I think that could be really fun. And that, yeah, I like the idea that you're not just a murderer.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
you don't have that trait.
I wouldn't
You might
think
earn
of
it, but
myself.
you don't
I
have
wouldn't
it.
think of myself as a murderer. Like I feel like my character would be like, this had to happen. Like it was the right thing to do, or the only thing to do. Maybe not the right thing, but the only thing to do to prevent whatever. So for her brother, I just feel like the question is, we need some sort of resolution, right? That I'm working towards with the.
Well, it's a thing you believe, and then what are you going to do about it? So let's write. Do you want to write one about your current paramour, the brother of your husband, and like what you plan to do with that? What's your long-term plan?
Yeah, like, because I obviously like I can't have him interfering with my like I want to be the queen shit. But I also don't want to just go murdering
Well, I
anyone.
feel like your hands are tied, and maybe that's causing some tension for your character, where you're like, okay, cool, I'm juggling both these dudes. Eventually, plan A is going to go through, and I'm going to need to marry him. So what am I going to do with plan B? And I don't want to kill him.
Yeah. So I need to figure out where I'm going.
So think about what your character
Marry
would
him
do.
off to someone else?
Ah, that's so good.
That's so good.
Because then it puts you in a position to have to find someone to distract him from. You don't want to break up with him. You want him to find someone else. But
So
not
I
think
need to
that you-
find someone. I need to find someone to entice my husband's brother.
His name, we'll figure out his family name, but his name is Reza.
Reza? How do you spell that?
Reza.
Okay.
And Reza, he's in love with you, but he also hates you because he thinks you killed his brother. And he's a problem. He's a burden. And you need to find someone else to carry that burden for you. So your belief could be about why you're going to do this, but the action is, I will marry him. I'll find someone to marry him off to.
So Reza will interfere with my future plans unless I find someone to get him out of my hair.
Yeah, or like Reza's going to be a problem sooner rather than later.
Okay.
I will find someone suitable to distract him.
Oh God, Chad is like maybe
Very
someone
unfit
funny
character.
and
No,
exotic.
he
I
needs
will
he needs
find someone suitable.
Well, and what's
But, like-
great about this is you could just make a circles roll and be like, I would like to make a circles roll to find someone suitable for him to
An
marry.
eligible bachelorette.
And then you have to try to work on her and like convince her, but secretly
Okay.
also maintain your relationship with him. And he
Yeah.
can't find
Here's
out
the
you're
thing,
trying
though.
to because he thinks that you love him.
What if, though, there's the other angle too, which is that you marry him to someone who you know is not going to want to, like, is either not going to be possessive of him or like is like this like ineffectual token marriage. So then you just keep him in your pocket forever, right?
Right. Well,
Like,
the question is going to
That
be
would
whether or
do
not
it.
your character keeps sleeping with him after you find someone else to
Right.
I mean,
marry.
because
Yeah, this
he's
whole-
he's a 10-tier relationship, so he is like
He's powerful.
he's a powerful guy around here.
Oh, he's a 10, is he?
Yeah, he's a 10. Although I got him down to a 3.
He's a 10, but he only costs you 3. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So that's you've got 2 beliefs now, right?
Yes, that's 2.
Dave, you have 2 as well, right? You have the one about the king, and you have another. All right. So who still needs a third belief? Who doesn't have their third belief?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, this guy is he's not a 10, he's a 3 that thinks he's a 10.
Right.
This is what he is. So my last little nubbin of a belief is the death of God, an end to the oppression of me and mine. So this is like about how the past is going to lead into the future for
Yeah.
historically oppressed.
So I envision your character as having clandestine meetings with the king's rangers, right? Visiting the old villages, like
Oh yeah.
bringing that information to them to be like you're kind of their spy in the courts, right? Because you're still loyal to them, and there are
I'm here to burn this shit down. I'm not
Yes.
here to help these people.
I like it. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
And so yeah,
I guess what will you do? You can say like God's death is an opportunity.
I mean that's what this one sets up, and then it's just a matter of like, yeah, what do I do with that opportunity?
I will
right?
take this.
So-
I will take this news to the villages, right? Like that's your first step is to go and tell them like God is dead.
Yeah.
I have a plan.
Okay, so like who is the boss queen of the woods that I would want to talk to?
I mean, there wouldn't be one. There would be lots, right? There'd be
There are lots of
like
them?
because I don't envision them as they're not
There'd be
one
the
big.
small group, the small
like-
group
But,
leaders.
like, who are these people? Like, what would
people,
we
the
call
people of the woods are all one culture, but they're broken down, like I said before, into like these Gallic tribes. And
I
there's
feel like they're very anarchic, like
there's definitely a
pocket. Groups. Yeah.
what's the name of that awesome queen from Civ? The one
Wow,
that
you don't even remember?
I can't remember her name. Anyway,
Wow.
but there's definitely figures like that where you can go
Yeah.
out to the
I thought you were in love with her.
only when I'm playing Civ, right? I have other things to think
Oh,
about.
her, the horse lord,
Yeah.
the queen of horses. What is her name again?
Tamiris. Yeah.
Tomaris, yeah.
Damaris.
And then there's also Boudica or Boudica or whatever, who
Mhm.
is the Celtic queen, right? They-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyways, there are these like powerful women. There are like maybe is all like the rest of my coven of witches, because I was a witch's apprentice, so there's some witch who I learned from.
Yeah.
And then presumably
But
there
the
are
thing is,
more-
because you haven't bought relationships with them, you're going to need to make circles rolls to
I
call
have
them
to
up.
circles
You've been
them up.
away a while.
Yeah, so I think what this belief is about reconnecting. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have been away from the woods too long.
I will reconnect with the covens.
I will, yeah.
Awesome. Because in a way, some of the tension from your character, even though your character is like pretty together, the city folks see you as a person of the woods, and the people of woods probably still see you as like, you left us, you went to the city.
Yeah, people will get the wrong impression or assume that I will have gone soft or all this other shit, and then I'll have to like witch duel them, and it's gonna be cool.
Awesome. Okay.
Witch duels.
So Dave, you need 2, right? You have one secular one and one religious one. Okay. So let's talk about your relationship with God. Let's talk about your faith one. This should be the easier of the 2.
Yeah.
Now, do you believe that God is dead but still powerful? Do you worship the like corpse god? Or do you believe, and you can change this, right? Your theology can change. Or are you in denial? Are you like, if God is dead, then whence miracles? Right? Because you can still do stuff. You still have power.
Yeah. I mean, when we talked about this, the thing is, I think he has to believe God is dead to an extent, because he eventually wants to bring him back. Like it's a temporary thing. I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, God, like everything, dies. Now is just the time that God is dead, and he will be reborn, or just
The
brought
endless
back.
cycle of death and rebirth of God.
Yeah, or the inverse, like God is dead, but we can fix him.
Yeah, I
That's
just
just
need
the
to.
necromancer in you.
Yeah,
if
well, no,
that's
and I like that. That can be your faith
rad.
run, right? You can say, God is dead, but I will bring him back to life. And then how do you begin that? Like what?
by
Oh,
forming an army
oh,
of dead.
no. You know who is rumored? You know who is rumored to have the secrets of this forbidden death art? The fucking
Stygian.
the Wolf House people, right? Like they're cursed. They're in their cursed castle. Maybe they have forbidden knowledge there.
Or maybe I know a thing or two. Or
Obviously
maybe
Stygia, right? Like
something.
the Stygians, they're all about this. Their gods are all dead already.
Yeah,
So
they
it
have
depends.
nothing
I guess
but
it depends
faith
on
in
what do you
dead
want to
gods.
do with it.
I mean, yeah, I can be at that point, right? Of asking. So it can be like God is dead. The secrets of rebirth are known to some. I will find out who. Like, see whether I go Stygian path, whether I go Wolf path. I've got like
Yeah.
cast my net sort of thing still.
Okay. So yeah, a belief. Yeah, God is dead, but I will bring him back. And then, yeah, where do you begin? What's the first
Who
thing?
yet knows the secrets of life and death, if not God? Yeah.
Yeah, it's finding out who knows.
Okay.
Finding out a lead.
I'm not
starting
gonna
to-
say this. I'm not gonna say Stygians, but you know.
I mean, you're only like you're not culturally Stygian, right? You didn't get
I
raised
know.
there. Maybe you know some other Stygians. Okay, cool. Yeah, so
'cause
you can
that's how
decide.
it works. I'm Stygian,
Well, and also
so I
like
know
the
all
conclave, the
Stygians.
conclave library. Obviously, the patriarch is in town, and he knows all the forbidden knowledge. He's in a bit of a state right now, but okay,
He's
cool.
very busy.
Yeah, or maybe he's gone mad, right? Like he's the one that had to deliver weeping tears of blood the news to everyone that like God, who he is closest to, right? No mortal on earth is closer to God than him. That God is dead. So he's a little fucked
Yeah.
up, but he knows all the
Oh,
secrets.
his little friend died.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because guess what?
Deity friend.
Ew.
Cool. Okay. I mean, also the angels,
That's-
and also hell. Hell probably knows some secrets. So, cool. Okay. So I think what Blue Jay, you need one more, and
I need one more. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Probably one to relate me to a character or an NPC.
Yeah. You could write one about any of these three.
I mean, Elf and I have already talked a lot about how like
Yeah.
our characters are kind of related. Maybe
Do you have one relating to me yet?
no, I don't have one.
I feel like you're like a phase 2. Like
Yeah.
you're already kind of
That's
like
fair.
helping a little bit, but like
I feel like you
you're
have
gonna
to
need to
convince me
escalate.
of
Yeah.
whatever, and then
We'll
I'll
leave the space for that. Yeah, I think that makes sense. As
Yeah.
well. I just
So-
didn't know if
so
you wanted to
here's-
have some counterpoint.
Here's a question for you, Bludge.
Mhm.
Are you happy that I'm close to this whole situation?
I mean,
this person
the
who
thing
knows
is-
about this crime you committed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the thing is that like saying that you killed my husband, that means you know I killed my husband.
Yeah.
And you're also in the court
Yeah.
and just like around
Well,
the
and
person
what's-
I'm trying to get to marry me.
And
Yeah.
again, you know what's gonna have to happen. You know who's like one of Joy's biggest fans is fucking Reza, right? Reza just thinks Joy's the best. And so yeah, like you see the two of them together a lot.
Oh God. So I have to. I think that Joy has to be loyal to me above anyone else. I need to get concrete assurance of her. The
Loyalty,
yeah.
silence.
Silence.
Clap her back in irons if you have to.
You should
Silence.
come to my character for advice on that. I'll have lots of fun things. to
Okay,
say.
so it's Joy. Joy needs to be loyal to me above anyone else. I must get concrete assurance of her silence.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, cut out her tongue.
Yeah, you could have that happen. You could convince your boyfriend to do it, but then he'd be sad. He'd be like, "But my jester's so funny.
But I like the jokes.
I like the jokes." We'll get there. It'll escalate. Give yourself room to escalate.
That would honestly be
Yeah.
the single most rude thing you could ever do in any RPG ever, is to cut out someone's character's tongue.
Yeah.
Just be like, hope you like role playing your character purely as a description of what they're doing.
And that's the thing. You'd have to get permission for that, for
Yeah.
sure. We would talk
I
about
mean,
that.
no, and that's
All
the
I'm
thing is
saying,
that-
all I'm saying is I could make it work. I'm not gonna lie.
I believe
can still do
I
it.
trust Elf. To,
Well,
right,
because
well,
my
let's-
character would prefer not to resort to that kind of violence because
No, we've already-
I am not.
you're not a killer, right?
Yeah, I'm not a killer. Of course not.
Okay, so let's
Yes.
figure out this last belief for Dave, and then we'll take our last break and we'll do instincts. So,
Okay.
Dave, do you? So, what are your beliefs? You have one about the becoming the king's personal guy.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
your
so
what's your second one again?
Joy does not yet work in
Right.
the light of the Lord. She would serve him well at my side.
Nice. Okay. Good.
So those are both future centric. I'm thinking about a past one.
Yeah, you could write
was
one
on-
about your character's previous position in the world and what to like, how that's affected you. Write one about your uncle. You could write one about the church at large, like because you're a member of the clergy, and so when God is declared dead, this is going to mean chaos for you too. So your connection to the church might be something to write a belief about.
Yeah, I'm thinking like something about the church being only one ladder into God's grace, and as its rungs break apart, so will I find a new.
So like something about being anti-dogmatic, right? Ooh, and this totally leans into your being like a weirdo and doing forbidden things, right? That like something about God. The idea that God has I like the idea of like many ways into God's grace. The idea of embodying the like nothing is forbidden, right? Like seeking out like God's death has thrown open the doors to great knowledge. Something like that. It kind of overlaps with your other belief, your religious one. There are many stairways to heaven. Or you could write one about summoning. You could write one about like disarray in heaven. Like something about you having your dominion over the spirits, right? You could write something about the spirits of the dead. Write something about angels. Focus on your summoning.
Yeah, it's like the church is only one path into God's grace. With it falling around, with it crumbling around me, why not ask those directly within His favor? And it's like set myself up for another angel summoning. Find out what they want me to do.
Right. I like the idea that so something like the church is wavering, but heaven remains. I will curry favor. The church. Yeah, I'll curry favor with the angels.
Yeah, I'm into
Because
that.
one set of courtly intrigue wasn't enough. For
Yeah,
this
no, I love that. So you could
double
just be
down.
like, look, the
Fuck.
Pope is a madman. The elders of the church are arguing. Fuck it. I'm just going to get on the God phone and be like, yo, angels, what up? It's your boy. Right? Like you have that power. Yeah. So if the earthly hierarchy is crumbling.
Yeah,
really
the
cool.
church is wavering, but heaven remains. I'll seek the guidance of the angels.
Perfect. There you go. So all you got to do to work on that one is just do the thing. Cool. All right.
It's super dangerous.
So dangerous. I love it. All right, cool. Let's take our last break here, and we'll come back and we'll hammer out, at the very least, the framework for our instincts. These beliefs, you can see now why I need them to GM. All I have to do is challenge them and put them at cross odds from each other. It's gonna be a mess. All right, stick around. We'll be right back with a little bit more of the Burning Wheel.